Jeffrey. I'm the program director for IBM Smart Cloud Control Desk. I've got the opportunity today to talk to Dennis Drogseth from Enterprise Management Associates about a couple of blogs that we've written. And I wrote an original blog on cognitive computing and impacts to service management. And Dennis added his own insights as a response to that. So, Dennis, would you like to do a quick introduction?
Sure. Here I am with Enterprise Management Associates, an analyst firm, and we cover service management really soup to nuts. I get to stand kind of in the middle of that with a focus on both IT service management and all the implications there, and also cross-domain analytics and support of service delivery and service value. So I'm really excited to be here with Brian and be able to talk about this.
Yeah, thanks for your time this afternoon. So I think my first question for you is really around, you wrote about analytics and everything and how you see it translating into service management. But, really, what are your thoughts about, the current view of analytics in the market with regards to IT service management, and where do you see that going in the future?
Analytics is clearly on the rise. There's a lot of interest, and we certainly see that when we do research. At the same time, when we research requirements for IT service management, very recent work we did with another company in France, LeCXP, we saw the four top priorities. Number one was integration operations and integration operations analytics for performance management, so you could be more proactive. So people at the service desk weren't just feeling always reactive. Number two was user experience management for internal consumers. And there's so many dimensions to that. I'm hoping to touch on some of those in a bit. But that really is very much a combined service desk operations phenomenon. In fact, when we queried who is tracking user experience, service desk came out ahead of application performance and app support. It's really right in the center of user experience. The third priority was integrated operations for automated change and management and optimizing change and really responding to problems. And again, the service desk and operations have a lot to support each other with there. And then the fourth, integrated operations to support the third-party consumer, if you're a retail selling to your customer. I would say integrated operations in all cases, we're talking about operational analytics, or at least more advanced forms of analysis to understand proactively what's going on out there with IT services.
Yeah, interesting. And as I think about what we see, and what I see our customers doing, right, getting the operational context of your infrastructure and of the service that you're providing into the hands of the help desk, so that as they're debugging, they're very efficient. They know what's happening in the bigger picture, and they know, from a personalization standpoint, that you're consuming this service, which has these dependencies. It makes it much more efficient to build out a solution and to make sure that at the end of the day, you're minimizing any impact of performance degradations or outages within the ecosystem.
Absolutely. One of my favorite acronyms that I don't think I made up any of my favorite ones. I heard it in a consulting discussion. Is PICNIC, and it stands for a problem in chair, not in computer. That's a real valuable side of user experience, is understanding where consumers are having trouble. That might be an application design problem. It might be the problem that the person isn't familiar with using the tool. It might be a configuration problem in the endpoint. But not all problems in consuming services come from the fact that the server's down. So it's really much a shared responsibility.
What I'm seeing, is really just the approach around, how do you detect where that problem is, right? Is that something that you build into your application and have metric enabled? Is that something that you can gather and show based upon the performance characteristics? And I like the analogy of the picnic, right? We've seen several issues with clients who, in particular from a service catalog standpoint, define the services from the eyes of the fulfiller, not in the eyes of the consumer. So, when you go and make that service available, you may be the most optimized delivery and the most fantastic service out there. But if your users doesn't know the dictionary that you're trying to make it available to them, and how you're describing it or where you're putting it in the catalog, they're never going to find it. They're never going to be able to take advantage of this great offering you've got.
It's actually a huge cultural change when you think of what's out there. When you want to bring the person, that consumerization of IT, what does that mean? That really means starting to think about the consumer as a human being and develop the product for the consumer and to understand who they are, their personalities, their habits, their priorities. There are different kinds of consumers for the same application. So that's a huge opportunity for this ITSM and the analytic world to come together and optimize IT as a business in that way. So, yeah. Brian, you have some thoughts about where IBM is going along these lines?
Yeah, and I think what you're starting to see, and that leads perfectly into the social interactions, right, with our corporate representations on social networks such as Facebook and Twitter, right, being able to use that information to really gauge and analyze what's happening, and potentially impact the services that you provide and how they're being provisioned, or outages in the context of what is the social feedback happening, and is it an indicator of something larger with the service that I'm providing. I'm starting to see more businesses trying to get aligned on one set of business processes. So whether or not I'm reporting an incident on an application that I'm using, or whether or not I'm reporting a facilities incident, let's have one business process. Right. Sure, there might be a different resolution and a different workflow, but trying to align at the business level and really remove the walls between IT and operations as a whole.
I think it's a really exciting opportunity and something that I'm going to continue to explore on probably too many levels at once. But I'm very excited with what you're doing at IBM, and certainly the resources you have. Nobody else has Watson for sure. And we're moving in the ITSM front as well. So I really enjoyed this, Brian. It was great to spend the afternoon with you.
Yep. Thank you for your time this afternoon. I'm glad we had the opportunity to talk about the blogs and where we see the future going.
Thanks so much.
All right, thanks, Dennis.
Bye-bye.